Jen?
Okay, we are live. Yep.
All righty. So I'm going to call the meeting to order. Jen, maybe you should be doing this. You want to call the meeting to order?
Well, generally
I think
speaking,
it's usually Roger.
yeah, if you don't mind, Judy, it's usually me. So I'll call the meeting to order.
Did not mean to offend you. Sorry.
Not at all. Before we do the roll, however, it's my understanding that we do have some members of the board that need to be sworn in for the year 2021.
Yeah, we have 4.
Okay.
And
What
I
would-
have
what
them.
I-
Do you have them? The oaths?
I'm not sure who they are, but hopefully they know who they are.
Well, it's
We should.
Robert Fechter and Alvin Chin and Robert Rosner, and Robert Holzapfel.
Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through this, and if each of you will raise your right hand and repeat after me, and then state your names.
Just 1 minute. We need you guys to unmute yourselves.
Yeah, please. There we
I, Robert Fechter,
go.
I, Robert Rosener.
I, Robert Holtzapfel.
All right.
I, Alvin Chin.
Thank you. Do solemnly swear or affirm
Do
do solemnly swear and affirm
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the
Support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same
that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same
and to the governments established in the United States and in this state,
and to the
to the
governments
governments established in
the
this
United States
and in this state,
under the authority of the people,
under the authority of the people,
and that I will faithfully,
And
and
that I
I will faithfully,
impartially,
impartially,
impartially
and justly perform
and justly
justly
perform
perform
all of the duties
all of
all
the
of the
duties
duties
of a zoning board of adjustment member
of the
of the
zoning
zoning
board
of
adjustment
adjustment
member
member
to the best of my ability,
to the best of my ability.
so help me God.
So
So help me God.
So helping God.
Thank you. Now, what I'm going to ask is that if each of you, it's my understanding that you have now received the oath through email, I'm assuming. If you'll each sign that when you, there you go, thank you. And then if you'll send it off to Jen, she is a notary. She's in a position to be able to acknowledge those signatures, and we will be set to go. With that, Jen, if you'd be kind enough to call the roll.
Miss Richmond,
Here.
Mr. Chin,
Here.
Mr. Fechter,
Present.
Mr. Pheasant,
Here.
Mr. Hofer,
Here.
Mr. Holtzapfel,
Here.
Miss Corbman,
Here.
Mr. Rosner,
Here.
Mr. Rothberg, Council Liaison Hale,
Here.
Roger Thomas,
Here.
Chris Cosenza,
Here.
and Bruce Koch.
Here.
Normally, the chair, or in this case, I would be reading the compliance statement, but unfortunately, Jen, I don't have it. Do you have it available to you?
I sent it. Hold on.
I'm sure you did. Judy, you wouldn't happen to have it available right in front of you, would you?
I would have said if I did. I'm sorry, I don't. Or let's see. Let me see what Jennifer sent me. I have the rules and regs.
I can probably state it from memory, but I would.
Want me to
I don't
just
think we have
read
to worry
it?
about the fire exits, though.
Yeah, we don't have to worry about the fire exits today. This matter has been
All right,
advertised. Go ahead, Jen.
Okay. In accordance with the Open Public Meetings Act, notice of this meeting has been provided by filing a copy thereof with the Home News Tribune, the Star Ledger, and the Highland Park Planet on January 20th, 2021, and was posted on the borough's website at www.hpborough.com and on the bulletin board at Borough Hall, 221 South Fifth Avenue, Highland Park, New Jersey, on January 20th, 2021, and has remained continuously posted as required by law.
Thank you, Jen. The first order of business is with regard to the reorganization of the Highland Park Zoning Board of Adjustment for the year 2021. The first order of business is the selection of officers. The first officer is that of the chair. I would solicit nominations for the chair for the year 2021. Are there such nominations?
I would like to nominate Judy Richmond.
I second.
Is there a second? Is there a
I second.
Okay. Jen, did you get those two?
Rob Rosner and Hofer.
That'll do.
Rob Holtzapfel.
Holtzapfel. Thank you.
Okay. With that, could we have a roll call, please?
Are there other,
Mr. Chen? Oops, sorry.
Time out?
other nominations?
Yes, that's what I was just going to say. Are there any other nominations? Hearing none, the nominations are closed.
Mr. Chin?
Aye.
Mr. Fector?
Yes.
Mr. Pheasant?
Yes.
Mr. Hofer?
Yes.
Mr. Holtzapfel?
Yes.
Ms. Cordman?
Yes.
Mr. Rosner?
Yes.
And Ms. Richmond?
Yes, I'm willing to do this for another year. We had a very quiet year this year, one could say. Thank you, everybody. So nominations for vice chair.
I nominate Rob Rosner.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. And other nominations? Hearing none, nominations are closed. Jen, would you call the roll?
Mr. Chen?
Aye.
Mr. Fector?
Yes.
Mr. Pheasant?
Yes.
Mr. Hofer?
Yes.
Mr. Holtzapfel?
Yes.
Ms. Cordman?
Yes.
Mr. Rosner?
Yes.
Ms. Richmond?
Yes, happily. As to the secretary, I believe we appoint Jen as the secretary. Is that right, Roger?
No, in your case, I believe that you have a secretary who's a board member, and then you have Jen as the clerk. So I apologize. I don't remember who is the secretary, the board member secretary.
It was me.
Yeah.
It's Dana, and
Oh,
Dana looks over the minutes.
Okay.
Is there a nomination for board secretary?
I nominate Dana Corbin.
I'll second then.
Thank you. Any other nominations? Jen, please call the roll.
Mr. Chin?
How about aye?
Mr. Fector?
Yes.
Mr. Pheasant?
Yes.
Mr. Hofer?
Yes.
Mr. Holtzapfel?
Yes.
Ms. Cordman?
Yes.
Mr. Rosner?
Yes.
Ms. Richmond?
Yes, with pleasure. Thank you. So we're now going to appoint the professionals. And Roger, I would like to get your guidance on this. I'm very happy to see our engineer and our planner. It's been way too long, and I hope we will see much more of each other this year, and hopefully in person at some point when it's safe. But right now, I'm not so interested in seeing either of you because the board typically deals with this when you are not present. So Roger, maybe give us some guidance on how this is being handled in this very odd time.
If it is up to the board, you can end up going into executive session to discuss the professionals nominations. If you choose to do that, what I would recommend then Jen, are you in the position to put us into, I guess it's called a waiting room?
I'm sure I could, but I'm not sure how to do that.
Okay. What I could,
Why don't the professionals leave and log on in 5 minutes? How does that sound? Or 10 minutes?
all right, that's fine with me. And Jen, just so that I'm clear, if I leave and log back in, there will not be a problem to log back in. Is that correct? For us?
Correct. You shouldn't have a problem, no.
All right, then that's
And
fine.
if you would each send me a text, I'll give you my cell phone number. I can reply to you when it's time to rejoin us. So if you have something with which to write, 732-439-4020, and I'll just reply to you when we're ready. Thank you for understanding.
Not a problem.
And you don't have to stand in the hall, so.
All right, I will do that right now. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, so this has been a very odd year in so many ways, and we have done very, very little. People are not having people in their houses to do work, which is completely understandable. And we haven't met, we didn't solicit other professionals, although I'm sure we received, Jen, I'm sure we received applications. We always do, because there's a formal notice that the borough has to print. So what's everybody's thought about how to proceed?
Well, I mean, we got the same slate last January, and I believe literally didn't meet one time all year long. So, whatever decision process went through last year, we didn't have a chance to test it either way. And so I would figure if it's not broken, don't fix it and just rehire the same folks. It's the way I look at it.
Yeah, that sounds very good to me. Absolutely. Because we are the same place as we are last January, and we were last January. So we would just do the same procedure as last year.
I'm in favor.
Yep.
Anybody with another thought? So that's my thought as well, that we thought that they would be fine for 2020. Hopefully we'll have the opportunity to test that out in 2021. Okay, so give me 1 sec while I reply.
We appointed them already. Don't we have to appoint them at some point?
Oh, you know what? We have to appoint them. So you're right. Oops, 1 second.
Do you
You think that I would have gotten really good at technology during this time? Okay. Jen, is it a roll call or a hand raising?
It's a roll call vote, but I think in the past what you have done is nominated each professional and did one motion, one roll call.
Yeah.
Okay. Would somebody make a motion to appoint these 3 professionals? It would be CME, Roger Thomas, and Chris is with LRK.
I'd make a motion to approve Roger Thomas from Dolan. I think it's Dolan and Dolan, right?
Yeah. Yes.
Bruce Koch from CME for engineer, and Chris Cosenza from LRK for our planner.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second.
Thank you. Jen, would you call the roll?
Mr. Chen?
I vote yes.
Mr. Fechter?
Yes.
Mr. Pheasant?
Yes.
Mr. Hofer?
Yes.
Mr. Holzhoffel?
Aye.
Ms. Corbman?
Yes.
Mr. Rosner?
Yes.
Ms. Richmond?
Yes. All right, so give me 1 sec to just let them know.
Incidentally, Judy, it's been very busy in the trades this year.
It has been. I'm happy to hear that. So what are you guys doing?
Well, everybody's home breaking everything.
So congratulations to Roger and to Bruce, and I don't see Chris back yet. Chris, you there? No. So you're doing a lot of repairs. Are you doing any renovations?
Well, my work is all repairs, but all the renovation crews are very busy. People
That's
now
good to hear.
that want their homes improved. So there's a great deal of additions going up, kitchens, bathrooms, and I guess they're just, you know, staying out of our purview by keeping within the zoning law.
Oh, that's really interesting. Jen, do you know what's going on in town?
Not necessarily. I can only tell you what planning board applications we've received, but other than not construction, not as far as construction permits go.
Matt, you know
I mean,
anything about what's happening?
There is a few things that have gone up to the planning board, as Jen said, but it's again, it's not a significant amount. And I don't know about construction. I don't know if people are doing construction permits or not, so.
On my street, one single family house was demolished and they're building 2 single family homes to replace it.
Is that on,
That's the
South
402 South 7th, right?
yeah, that's South 7th, right?
Was that a double lot?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, well, I'm very happy to congratulate our professionals. We did not have an opportunity to work with you last year, and we're hoping for the best for this year. And we have some ministerial things to do.
Well,
Adopting
Judy, if I can,
minutes.
just on my behalf, thank you very much. I look forward to working with you, hopefully more actively than we did last year.
And I echo those comments. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Same
Bruce,
here. Thank you very much.
So before you go, I'm just curious how business is for you and for Chris. Are people doing work? Well, you're on the municipal side, but what about the developer side of your business?
Well, I can tell you, go ahead, Bruce.
From our perspective, many of the boards are very busy. I think it's the areas where there is opportunity for large subdivisions because there's such a lack of housing stock for those who want to buy. So I think Highland Park's gone through that process pretty much on the north end, and there's not much left other than the Buck Woods tract, I think. But generally speaking, where there's land available, people are building and buying.
Oh, that's good to hear. Chris, what about you guys?
Yeah. We are extremely busy. On the municipal side, we're doing several redevelopment plans, including working with Matt and the borough on one for the downtown area. But I've been working on several redevelopment plans in other areas in Cherry Hill and in Metuchen, and on a private side, assisting on redevelopment plans in Heightstown and other traditional land development routes. So it's been quite busy for larger project sites. When it comes to single family, I noticed that there has been a lack of activity. I'm on a zoning board in my town, East Windsor. We haven't met in over a year either. In Metuchen, we only met once for a homeowner application. So I think the pandemic has created, talking to the code official, working with Jennifer, that process is more difficult for a homeowner when we're doing it remotely. But for developers, it's really as business as usual. It seems to me.
Judy, I'll say the big development where the Illuminating Experiences property used to be on Cleveland, they've been working like gangbusters there. There's crews there all the time, working, building, selling. There's been, it looks like the first rows are now complete and people are moved in, and the other rows towards the back are still under construction. So they've been really going all year long.
I'm glad to hear that. I hope everybody is staying socially distant and being careful.
We're being careful.
I'm sorry, who said something?
Yes, we're being careful. If
You
not,
are
as
being
much
careful.
as we'd like.
And I guess, as Rob said, when we're home, we break things, which we're doing in my house also. We've never been in our house quite so much. Okay, so if our professionals want to stay, you're more than invited. And if you would like to be off, that's perfectly fine with us as well. So just let us know so we can say bye to you if you're leaving. And if you're not leaving, then you're welcome to be here.
I think I'm just going to stay for the next two items, which is the adoption of the rules.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, and the minute, not the minutes, the meeting designations. And other than that, I'm sure you can handle the adoption of the minutes on your own.
I think we might be able to do that.
Can I ask a brief question about the planning board?
Sure.
I know there was some talk about, I guess, rewriting the master plan to make some adjustments. You know, my personal interest is I'd like to build a garage. Has there been any progress with that, or has that been put on hold?
So I'm not exactly sure it's the same thing, but there was a change to accessory dwelling. The language in terms of accessory dwellings of what you can do within the garage. So the way that it was written prior to, it was a number of months ago. It was pretty much a car is what was supposed to go in there, and we broadened that to allow a number of different uses for garages, home offices, home gyms, that type of thing. So I'm not sure that's the exact same thing, but that accessory dwelling units or accessory units. There was a reasonable change. I don't know if it was a massive change, but there was a reasonable change several months ago. I'm not sure exactly when. So.
Yeah, I'll add on to that. It's specific to just broadening the uses to garages. But to be clear, not to allow anyone to live in there. So no sinks, no bathrooms, except for maybe a sink for cleaning and whatnot. I believe you're referring to the zoning rewrite in terms of the residential districts, right? Like
yeah,
addressing setbacks.
I would have to go in front of the zoning board to add a garage to my house.
Yeah, so that is still in the works. I'm working with Terry and Edwin to kind of just get together, hopefully within the next month or two, to discuss our strategy for that. We do need to change the ordinance. Fortunately, 90% of the work is already done because it's in the master plan. So we just need to, button up any loose ends, any comments that were raised during the public sessions. This is over a year ago now, but my hope is that this will be done this year.
Please do so with all speed. I'm loath to go in front of my own board.
Will do. Matt,
you.
let's light a fire, right?
All right, man, bring them to me. I'm ready to go.
Chris, who is Edwin? I haven't been around the building for a long time.
Ed Schmier.
Ed Schmier.
Oh, Ed Schmier. I thought it was Edwin. Okay, I didn't know if we had.
No, his name is Edwin, but I don't think anybody really calls him Edwin except for Chris.
I had no idea.
That is probably just me.
So for everybody,
I had no idea his name was Edwin.
I didn't either.
Oh, now he's going to
try to be proper.
Now he's going to hear it.
I'm going to call him Edwin from now on.
I want to tell the board members, Edwin Schmierer, otherwise known as Ed Schmierer, is the borough attorney.
Yes.
Okay, so now the next item are the meeting dates and designation of the official newspapers, which are the Home
Miss
News
Judy?
Tribune. Yes.
I'm sorry, you skipped over your board clerk.
Oh,
Yes, you did.
we would be in hot water. Thank you for that sweet voice of a reminder. Is there a motion to appoint? Do we appoint you, Jen?
Yes,
Yeah.
she would be the clerk.
If you want to.
Oh.
I would like to make a motion to appoint Jen.
And is there a second?
Yes, A hearty.
Okay. Jen, please call the roll.
Mr. Chin,
Yes.
Mr. Fector,
Yes.
Mr. Pheasant,
Yes.
Mr. Hofer,
Yes.
Mr. Holzapfel,
Happily, yes.
Ms. Corbman,
Yes.
Mr. Rosner,
Yes.
Ms. Richmond.
Yes. And I
you.
apologize for forgetting you.
That's okay.
I didn't forget you personally. Okay. Jennifer has provided everybody with a list of the meeting dates. It's attached to her email of January 20th. And I'm sure you've looked them over. And I wonder if there is a motion to approve the 2021 meeting schedule as forwarded to the board on January 20th.
I make a motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. I'm guessing that we can do this without a roll call vote.
That's correct. You can do that voice vote, sure.
All in favor of adopting the meeting schedule as sent to us on January 2nd, please raise your hand. Seeing everybody, that will be the meeting schedule. It's been adopted. As to the rules of order, they were also forwarded on January 20th.
Madam Chair, if I can interrupt 1 second, you should also have a motion to designate the official papers. They are also referenced.
Yes, thank you.
It's the same as the borough, which appears to be the Home News Tribune and the Star Ledger.
Thank you. So I'm really out of shape. Would somebody make a motion to appoint the Star Ledger and Home News Tribune as the official papers for notices of the Board of Adjustment?
So moved.
Second?
I'll second.
Okay.
Thank you. And Roger, again, a voice vote?
Yes.
All in favor, please raise your hand. All opposed? Okay. The Star Ledger and the Home News Tribune are appointed as the official papers for notification purposes for the Board of Adjustment. Okay, the rules of order, again, were forwarded on January 20th, and we did do some work on them a year or so ago. We haven't had similarly to what we said before, we really haven't had an opportunity to see if we've run into any issues. So my thought is to leave them alone and readopt them, and then as issues arise, they can be addressed. Anybody have a different thought? Is there a motion to adopt the rules of order as last revised?
I move to adopt the rules of order as last revised.
I second.
Thank you. A voice vote?
Yes, ma'am.
All in favor, please raise a hand. All opposed? The rules and regulations of the Zoning Board of Adjustment of the Borough of Highland Park, initially adopted in January 2002, have been readopted as of this evening. You know, it would be helpful up on the first page there if you can make a note of when they were last revised, which was maybe 2019. You'll have it,
Okay.
or I'll have it in my Word documents. Okay, now we have some minutes to adopt.
Madam Chair, with your permission, I will leave the meeting. I think that you are perfectly capable as a board to do that.
Well, thank you for your vote of confidence.
My pleasure. And listen, I wish all of you the best. Stay safe, and hopefully I will see you more often than I have. Take care now.
Take
care.
care, Roger.
Be well.
Hi, Roger.
We have two sets of minutes. Rob Rosener was kind enough to send us a correction. Jen, did you have an opportunity to see that?
Yes.
Great. So those were in the minutes of November 25th, 2019. And it was the first sentence that needed a revision. Rob, you want to say what the revision is in case everybody else hasn't had an opportunity to see your email?
Sure. These are the minutes from the November 25th meeting, but it retained the sentence from the prior month's meeting, the October 28th, 19 meeting. Other than, the rest of the minutes looked good. We just need to change it to say, the November 25th, 2019 regular meeting. And then Judy actually did chair that meeting. She was back that day. And it was a very simple one. All we did was memorialize the resolution that we had adopted at the October meeting. So that's the only thing. The first sentences need to change, and then it looked good to me.
Any other comments? Is there a motion to adopt the November 25th, 2019 minutes as amended?
I'll move to adopt them as amended.
And a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. All in favor, please raise your hand. All opposed? Okay, the November 25th, 2019 minutes are adopted. And now we need to adopt the minutes of the January 13th, 2020 reorganization meeting, which I think is the last time we were together. Is there a motion to adopt the reorganization minutes?
I'll move again to adopt the January 2020 reorganization meeting minutes.
Thank you. And a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. All in favor, please raise your hand. All opposed? Okay, the reorganization minutes of January 13th, 2020 are adopted. Any members of the public, Bruce or Chris, you have anything else you would like to say to us this evening?
I would just thank you for the reappointment.
Yes, and hopefully we'll meet more often than just once a year.
Yeah, I think we're all not so looking forward to late night meetings as much as being in a state where that's a possibility.
Yes, agreed.
So I wish everybody well. Please continue to take good care of yourself. Oh, Rob, you have something you want to say?
I actually had a question. I wondered to if Councilperson Hale knows or would be willing to speak on the lawsuit that's going on regarding the building across the street from my property on Harrison Avenue. That terrible, ugly, giant building that's been under construction for a long time. We did get. I got a message from Terry Hobert, but just to the local, very close neighbors. But I don't exactly recall. But Matt, do you recall what the status was, or should we just punt that one to the next one? Or if anyone's interested, perhaps I could forward the email from Terry Hobert. I think it's be okay to share that to the board members who might not have seen that update.
Yeah, I don't know that I have anything to add beyond that email, and my memory is that that it had gone to a judge. The judge made a ruling, and then it was appealed, and then it's at the next level of appeal. So it's still in the courts is essentially the upshot of it. We won something, but it wasn't a complete victory to allow us to move forward on the property. So
correct, but it did seem like there was a log jam that seemed to have been sort of resolved a little bit. I think there was another judge on the matter, if my memory is correct. I'll try to find the email and forward it. Maybe I could forward it to the board members.
Yeah, what happened was better than what could have happened, and it does seem like it was moving forward at a pace, but it does seem like it's still a long process.
There's more to go, but it went in the right direction so far.
Correct.
For the borough side.
Yep.
Matt, do you have any progress to report on the redevelopment plans? I know you got everyone's attention, but I haven't heard anything since.
So there's a redevelopment entity meeting tomorrow night. The update is that we presented broad picture ideas about a redevelopment. we are in the process of taking all the feedback that we've gotten and putting it into a more of a concrete redevelopment plan. It may be a bit before that comes before the council because the professionals are still working on it. I will say that the broad picture directions, I don't know how much people have been following this, but we have listened and heard from the public in a number of different areas. One is that we had originally conceptualized the idea of all of the different tracks being part of one redevelopment plan. And I think that we're moving in a direction where they're going to be separate within one ordinance so that there's a little bit more flexibility. I think a second thing that you'll see coming forward, and again, I'm not putting a timeline on this because we want to make sure the professionals have as much time to get it right, is that we're moving towards a more permanent closing of Third in some way than we had originally conceptualized. We had thought that it should be a flexible street, and but I think that we've heard from the public that there's more of an appetite for having a more of a town square on Third Avenue that would be a permanent closure of some sort. So that's two specific changes, and I guess the third that I'll say that we seem to have coalesced around a little bit is that to allow for flexibility within the redevelopment language so that there is the possibility of a centralized parking structure, that a goal of a centralized parking structure would still be there, but also the possibility of having on-site parking at the various places. So that what we've heard from people is a little bit more flexibility in the design of the redevelopment plan than perhaps it was presented as originally. A little bit more of an appetite for smaller chunks rather than big chunks, and definitely an appetite for a dedicated public space on Third. So, and there's a lot of others. I don't know, Chris, you can chime in as well, but I think those are the things that are coming. Those are the major ones. Obviously, the plan will be a lot more detailed than it has been. The frame and the shell that we've put out, it'll be a written document, which will be coming out. So.
I have a question. Is Deb Tantliff still a conditional redeveloper for that site over by the gun shop and the dry cleaners?
Is who?
Tantliff.
No.
That was
years ago. Yeah.
That was a long time ago. So.
Well, that was the last I heard when I used to be on the redevelopment agency before it was absorbed by the council.
Rob?
Matt, has anybody reached out to Jack Morris about the Sunoco property?
So, as you know, we are in the middle of litigation with Mr. Morris, so that the discussions of the Sunoco property are not, at the top of the list because of Buck Woods. He's made it very, very clear that he doesn't want or would like to be a part of any redevelopment plan. He's sort of made that fairly clear, and we're still working on Buck Woods. So reached out, that's I don't know. We asked, and there was a no. So
we're still in litigation with Bucks Woods.
Yeah, we are.
Over what now?
This is maybe a question to just it's I believe it has to do with some of the environmental aspects. My understanding, and remember, we haven't done this in a long time, so I'm going back on my memory, but he has made an argument that all of the cleanup that he believes might be necessary is the borough's responsibility. We have said it is not our responsibility. And so we are having an argument in court over whose responsibility that cleanup is. So, I don't want to, that's my basic understanding. So we're still in those discussions.
He is doing environmental work over there. Yeah, test wells and whatnot.
Absolutely. So, so it is, Joe Bauman has been retained by the borough, to work as our environmental, his firm, which is, they have a special, that one of their specialty areas is in that, the borough attorney doesn't have. And so we've, that's where we are. So
it would seem if we could get the Sunoco property for, the Ubries family business, that could solve.
The Ubries family business, you know, I'll be very, I can't even be as clear as I possibly can. We are not taking Ubries. We are not even pretending to take Ubries. We have no ability to take Mr. Ubries. We have never asked Mr. Ubry and told him that we're going to take it. So
just saying, if we could get the Sunoco property for him, it'd be better for him and better for us.
And he does not want to move. So I've had multiple discussions with Mr. Ubry. I would love for the borough to be able to buy his property, but that's not where he is right now. So, but we're not taking it. So we would entertain trades. We'd entertain other ideas and other places for him to go. And have posed that to him and said, you know, is there another place that you would be interested in, you know, could we think creatively about other opportunities? And you know, those are still discussions that are going on. So,
but so far it's been a hard no from Mr. Ubry.
Mr. Ubry has said that he would like to continue to work in his shop for a number of years, and he doesn't have a particular interest in selling at this point. Doesn't mean he won't change his mind, but you know, as of now, it's a no.
I have found in my experience that if you offer the right and sweet enough pot, it behooves them to do it because it's just financially advantageous. So it's just a matter of negotiations. And I have seen, you know, some people will draw a hard line in the sand and despite themselves financially because they just don't want to do it. But other people, most people, I think, in the experience I've seen, ultimately, if you give them a sweet enough deal, they'll take it.
You may absolutely, you may be right, but I would just, from my conversations, he takes an enormous amount of pride in his work.
Yeah,
takes an enormous amount of pride in the fact that his businesses have been here for 40 plus years, and that it's a family business, and that it is who he is, and it is, and that's something to be respected. So. You may be absolutely right that it is a dollar negotiating price, but I also think that he rightly has an enormous amount of pride in what he does and has built that business into something that has sustained his family, and that the dollar figures are probably important, but they are the sense of pride of ownership of his own space is also important, and I think that's something to respect.
So going back to the Buck Woods, talking to the old timers in my neighborhood, they say that it was the old trolley tracks and concrete from Raritan Avenue that DOT cut up that was dumped back there. So you might want to ride DOT to find out what happened.
You know, that's all part of the process of identifying and finding those records. You know, and you know, Mr. Morris is in his position, and a very well position, because he's very good at this stuff. So we're doing our best to keep up with him. So
one final quick question I had, Bob, you mentioned it, but I just wanted to be clear. So the borough itself, the borough council, is the redevelopment entity for the town?
Yes.
Okay, that's what I wanted to be sure.
All right, so I'll just let you know the process. As I said, the borough professionals are working on a plan. We are not rushing them because we want them to take into account all the information that they've been given. It'll be introduced to council at a redevelopment entity meeting. It'll be brought to council, then to the planning board, and then to council again. So there's at least 4 other opportunities for public comment on before any redevelopment plan is put forth. And then that's even before we get into RFPs or sites or anything like that. So there's a long way to go before this.
And how
happens.
long do you think that'll take to get those 4 meetings done? Will that take up the rest of the year, or?
I would hope that we could, I would hope that we would be in a position in April. Would be I would hope April is probably when I think it's realistic that could happen.
Yeah, Matt, I'll say that's realistic. That's reasonable.
Yeah.
Good luck, gentlemen.
Yeah, thanks for the update.
Yeah. And we're still getting comments to this day, right, Matt?
Every day. I was on the phone for 1 hour and 20 minutes today with a constituent. So, yeah. So Chris is doing a great job on it, though. I really, it's been fun working on it, and we'll get there. So.
Does anyone have other questions? This is a great opportunity. Comments, thoughts?
It's nice to see you all again.
Yeah.
And if I may just very quickly say that we are, just to share that I'm participating in the work on the Middlesex County 2040 process that is ongoing right now, the planning process for the county, where together with the colleagues from Baustein, there is this overall process for developing a vision and a planning statement for 2040, and that my team is working on a cultural landscape plan and ecosystem services plan for the county, and that actually we just recently had an open house thing where actually our mayor was also attending and was saying that very much concerned, or like not concerned, but in favor of developing a greenway along the Raritan River. And that is one of those things that we will push forward for a county greenway system. I just wanted to share that, and that thing's going to happen during this until next year. So if there's any thoughts on that scale, on that level, just wanted to share with my fellow board members here that this kind of thing is going on.
I'm sure the mayor's shared that with you, but that's an exciting idea of having a greenway down along the Raritan.
Well, it's her idea that, because we did not, this is one of the very few things we did not include in the overall greenway concept, and she suggested that. And so
it's a good one. It's a good one.
It's a terrific idea. It's on the Highland Park side of the river, the greenway would be?
Highland Park side of the river, if that's all going to work. And this is typical master planning work where we put this, we want this and want that, and then you kind of get into it. When you think about how long it took to extend to do the Middlesex Greenway and how long they're discussing the extension of it.
Yeah,
it will take a while, but we're very optimistic of doing a clear objectives and clear goals in order to get it done, because it would be so helpful. Certainly when you think about more need for open space in these pandemic times, for walks that are accessible, and that would be the kind of thing we're pushing for.
That's terrific.
There's a lot of support in town for people who like to have a boathouse in Highland Park.
Yep.
Just for kayaks, canoes, just to have the town be more connected to the river as it once was.
That would be terrific.
I'll let you know that there's a number of people who've spoken to me about the boathouse concept along there for a kayak rowing facility, for a community rowing program, and also a kayak program. There is a host of people who are interested in using the river in that way. So
Rutgers has one across the river at Boyd Park that's unused.
Just by their rowing teams, and we would love to have a community rowing and community boathouse plan. So
that sounds great. Well, Firma, I want to thank you for doing that for us and serving in that way. And I'm happy that your good ideas are going to be considered there. And it also makes me think of way back to when we approved the property on South Adelaide and Raritan. One of the things our board required was an easement for a future greenway extension there. So we had good foresight, and that will be one property that you don't have to deal with.
Right.
Fantastic, because we got to deal with a lot of others.
Well, there is definitely like a major utility easement through there already. I mean, if you can walk back there and you can see all the sewer lines that run through.
Right. That's the approach.
Yeah.
Yes, everyone's going to scream they have riparian rights, that we can't do it.
I know some of them who will scream that.
Yes, we will.
All right. Any other thoughts, comments, topics?
I'll just make mention that, I founded the Special Education Parents Advisory Group. And while things certainly have slowed down for us during the pandemic, we are going to be holding a large meeting probably in April, where we're getting the state ombudsman for special education, and the governor's ombudsman for people with disabilities to hold a large Zoom meeting. And we're going to host it, but we're going to throw it open to all the parents in the county.
Oh, wow. Are you going to publicize that well so people know about it? That's a fantastic thing to offer.
Soon as I can get them all to agree on a date.
So sometime in
Great.
2022.
No. It's not like a redevelopment plan.
Oh, okay. Good.
So Rob, thank you very much.
Thank you so much
that.
for doing that. That's great.
Yeah,
You're
that's
welcome.
really,
Pleasure.
really, it was needed, and very, very kind of you to put the work into that. Good people, please wear your masks.
Will
Good
do.
night, everyone.